Friends, in the last session we have seen how graphs can be used to model and solve many problems. In this session, we will focus on a particular type of graph called a tree, so named because such graphs resemble trees. We will also see some applications of trees in this session. Trees, Part 1. Introduction. A connected graph that contains no simple circuits is called a tree. Trees were used long ago as 1857 when the English mathematician Arthur Cayley used them to count certain types of chemical compounds. The undirected graph representing a family tree is an example of a tree. Family trees are graphs that represent genealogical charts. Family trees use vertices to represent the members of a family and edges to represent parent-child relationships. Definition 1. A tree is a connected undirected graph with no simple circuits. Because a tree cannot have a simple circuit, a tree cannot contain multiple edges or loops. Therefore, any tree must be a simple graph. Example 1. Which of the following graphs shown in figure 1 are trees? Solution. G1 and G2 are trees because both are connected graphs with no simple circuits. G3 is not a tree because EBADE is a simple circuit in this graph. G4 is not a tree because it is not connected. Definition 2. A graph containing no simple circuits are not necessarily connected are called forests and have the property that each of their connected components is a tree. The graph G4 in figure 1 is a forest with two components. Theorem 1. An undirected graph is a tree if and only if there is a unique simple path between any two of its vertices. Proof. First assume that T is a tree. Then T is a connected graph with no simple circuits. Let x and y be two vertices of T. Because T is connected, there is a simple path between x and y. Moreover, this path must be unique, for if there were a second such path, the path formed by combining the first path from x to y followed by the path from y to x obtained by reversing the order of the second path would form a circuit. This implies that there is a simple circuit in T. Hence, there is a unique simple path between any two vertices of a tree. Conversely, assume that there is a unique simple path between any two vertices of a graph T. Then T is connected because there is a path between any two of its vertices. Also, T can have no simple circuits. To see that, suppose T had a simple circuit that contained the vertices x and y. Then there would be two simple paths between x and y because the simple circuit is made up of a simple path from x to y and a second simple path from y to x. Hence, a graph with a unique simple path between any two vertices is a tree. Definition 3. A rooted tree is a tree in which one vertex has been designated as the root and every edge is directed away from the root. We can change an unrooted tree into a rooted tree by choosing any vertex as the root. In the figure, you can see a tree and rooted trees formed by designating two roots. The first figure you can see the tree with root A and the second figure is a tree with root C. The terminology for trees has botanical and genealogical origins. Suppose that T is a rooted tree. If V is a vertex in T other than the root, the parent of V is the unique vertex U such that there is a directed edge from U to V. When U is the parent of V, V is called a child of U. Vertices with the same parent are called siblings. The ancestors of a vertex other than the root are the vertices in the path from the root to this vertex, excluding the vertex itself and including the root. The descendants of a vertex V are those vertices that have V as an ancestor. A vertex of a tree is called a leaf if it has no children. Vertices that have children are called internal vertices. If A is a vertex in a tree, the subtree with A as its root is the subgraph of the tree consisting of A and its descendants and all edges incident to these descendants. Definitions 4. A rooted tree is called an emery tree if every internal vertex has no more than m children. The tree is called a full Emery tree if every internal vertex has exactly m children. An Emery tree with m equal to 2 is called a binary tree. An ordered rooted tree is a rooted tree where the children of each internal vertex are ordered. In an ordered binary tree, if an internal vertex has 2 children, the first child is called the left child and the second child is called the right child. The tree rooted at the left child of a vertex is called the left subtree of this vertex, and the tree rooted at the right child of the vertex is called the right subtree of the vertex. A complete Emery tree is a full Emery tree where every leaf is at the same level. Now we move on to the properties of trees. Theorem 2. A tree with n vertices has n-1 edges. Proof. We will use mathematical induction of proof for this theorem. Note that for all the trees here, we can choose a root and consider the tree rooted. The basis step. When n is equal to 1, a tree with n equal to 1 vertex has no edges. It follows that the theorem is true for n equal to 1. Inductive step. The induction hypothesis states that every tree with k vertices has k-1 edges where k is a positive integer. Suppose that a tree T has k plus 1 vertices and that V is a leaf of T, which must exist because the tree is finite, and let W be the parent of V. Removing from T the vertex V and the edge connecting W to V produces a tree T dash with k vertices because the resulting graph is still connected and has no simple circuits. By the induction hypothesis, T dash has k-1 edges. It follows that T has k edges because it has one more edge than T dash, the edge connecting V and W. This completes the induction step. The number of vertices in a full Emery tree with a specified number of internal vertices is determined using the following theorem. Theorem 3. A full Emery tree with I internal vertices contains n equal to mi plus 1 vertices. Proof. Every vertex except the root is the child of an internal vertex. Because each of the I internal vertices has m children, there are mi vertices in the tree other than the root. Therefore, the tree contains n is equal to mi plus 1 vertices. Theorem 4. A full Emery tree with n vertices has I equal to n minus 1 by m internal vertices and L is equal to m minus 1 into n plus 1 by m leaves. I internal vertices has n equal to mi plus m vertices and L equal to m minus 1 into I plus 1 leaves. And L leaves has n equal to ml minus 1 by m minus 1 vertices and I equal to L minus 1 by m minus 1 internal vertices. The proof is like this. Let n represent the number of vertices, I the number of internal vertices and L the number of leaves. The three parts of the theorem can be proved using the equality given in the last theorem. That is n equal to L plus I, which is true because each vertex is either a leaf or an internal vertex. Part 1. Solving for I in n equal to mi plus 1 gives I equal to n minus 1 by m. Substituting this in n equal to L plus I gives L equal to n minus I, that is equal to n minus of n minus 1 by m, that is equal to m minus 1 into n plus 1 the whole by m. Part 2. N equal to mi plus 1 by last theorem and using L equal to n minus I gives mi plus 1 minus I, that is equal to m minus 1 into I plus 1. Now part 3. N equal to L plus I gives I equal to n minus L. Substituting in n equal to mi plus 1 gives n equal to m into n minus L plus 1, which is equal to mn minus ml plus 1. This gives ml minus 1 is equal to mn minus n, and that is equal to n into m minus 1. Hence, n is equal to ml minus 1 the whole divided by m minus 1, and I is equal to n minus L gives I equal to ml minus 1 by m minus 1 minus 1, that is equal to ml minus 1 minus ml plus 1 the whole divided by m minus 1, and that is equal to L minus 1 by m minus 1. Hence, the theorem is proved. The following example illustrates how this theorem can be used. Example 2. Suppose that someone starts a chain letter. Each person who receives the letter is asked to send it on to 4 other people. Some people do this, but others do not send any letters. How many people have seen the letter, including the first person, if no one receives more than one letter, and if the chain letter ends after there have been 100 people who read it but did not send it out? How many people send out the letter? The solution is like this. The chain letter can be represented using a 4-ary tree. The internal vertices correspond to people who send out the letter and the leaves correspond to people who did not send it out. Because 100 people did not send out the letter, the number of leaves in this rooted tree is L equal to 100. Hence, by part 3 of the previous theorem shows that the number of people who have seen that letter is n equal to 4 into 100 minus 1, the whole divided by 4 minus 1, which is equal to 133. Also, the number of internal vertices is 133 minus 100, which is equal to 33. So, 33 people send out the letter. Now, moving on to definitions 5. The level of a vertex V in a rooted tree is the length of the unique path from the root to this vertex. The level of the root is defined to be 0. The height of the rooted tree is the maximum of the levels of the vertices, that is, it is the length of the longest path from the root to any vertex. Example 3. Find the level of each vertex in the rooted tree shown in the figure. What is the height of this tree? The solution: the root A is at level 0, vertices B, J, K are at level 1. The vertices C, E, F and L are at levels 2. Vertices D, G, M and N are at level 3. Finally, vertex H is at level 4. Because the largest level of any vertex is 4, this tree has height 4. Definition 6. A rooted emery tree of height h is balanced if all leaves are at levels h or h minus 1. Example 4. Which of the rooted trees shown in this figure are balanced? Solution: T1 is balanced because all its leaves are at levels 3 and 4. T2 is not balanced because it has leaves at levels 2, 3 and 4. T3 is balanced because all its leaves are at level 3. Now, moving on to the next theorem. There are at most m raised to h leaves in an emery tree of height h. The proof is like this. It uses the mathematical induction on height. First, consider emery trees of height 1. These trees consist of a root with no more than m children, each of which is a leaf. Hence, there are no more than m raised to 1, which is equal to m, leaves in an emery tree of height 1. This is the basis step of the inductive argument. Now, assume that the result is true for all emery trees of height less than h. This is the inductive hypothesis. Let T be an emery tree of height less than h. The leaves of T are the leaves of the subtrees of T obtained by deleting the edges from the root to each of the vertices at level 1. Each of these subtrees has height less than or equal to h minus 1. So, by the inductive hypothesis, each of these rooted trees has at most m raised to h minus 1 leaves. Because there are at most m such subtrees, each with a maximum of m raised to h minus 1 leaves, there are at most m into m raised to h minus 1, which is equal to m raised to h leaves in the rooted tree. This finishes the inductive argument. Moving on to corollary. If an emery tree of height h has L leaves, then h is greater than or equal to the ceiling function of log L to the base m. If the emery tree is full and balanced, then h is equal to the ceiling function of log L to the base m. We are using ceiling function here, which is the smallest integer greater than or equal to x. The proof. We know that L is less than or equal to m raised to h. Taking logarithms to the base m gives log L to the base m is less than or equal to h. Because h is an integer, we have h is greater than or equal to the ceiling function of log L to the base m. Now, suppose that the tree is balanced, then each leaf is at level h or h minus 1, and because the height is h, there is at least one leaf at the level h. It follows that there must be more than m raised to h minus 1 leaves. Because L is less than or equal to m raised to h, we have m raised to h minus 1 less than L less than or equal to m raised to h. Taking logarithms to the base m, we get h minus 1 less than log L to the base m less than or equal to h. Hence, h is equal to the ceiling function of log L to the base m. Application of trees. Binary search trees. Searching for items in a list is one of the most important tasks that arises in computer science. Our primary goal is to implement a searching algorithm that finds items efficiently when the items are totally ordered. This can be accomplished through the use of binary search tree, which is a binary tree in which each child of a vertex is designated as a right or left child. No vertex has more than one right child or left child, and each vertex is labeled with a key, which is one of the items. Furthermore, vertices are assigned keys so that the key of a vertex is both larger than the keys of all vertices in its left subtree and smaller than the keys of all vertices in this right subtree. Second one is decision trees. Rooted trees can be used to model problems in which a series of decisions leads to a solution. A rooted tree in which each internal vertex corresponds to a decision with a subtree at these vertices for each simple outcome of the decision is called a decision tree. The possible solutions of the problem correspond to the paths to the leaves of this rooted tree. Third one is prefix codes. Consider the problem of using bit strings to encode the letters of the English alphabet. When letters are encoded using varying numbers of bits, some method must be used to determine whether the bits for each character start and end. One way to ensure that no bit string corresponds to more than one sequence of letters is to encode letters so that the bit string for a letter never occurs as the first part of the bit string for another letter. Codes with this property are called prefix codes. A prefix code can be represented using a binary tree where the characters are the labels of the leaves in the tree. The edges of the tree are labeled so that an edge leading to the left child is assigned a 0 and an edge leading to the right child is assigned a 1. The bit string used to encode a character is the sequence of labels of the edges in the unique path from the root to the leaf that has this character as its label. Huffman coding. It is an algorithm that takes as input the frequencies, which are probabilities of occurrences of symbols in a string, and produces as output a prefix code that encodes the string using the fewest possible bits among all possible binary prefix codes for these symbols. It is a fundamental algorithm in data compression. Next one is game trees. Trees can be used to analyze certain types of games such as tic-tac-toe, checkers and chess. In each of these games, two players take turns making moves. Each player knows the moves made by the other player and no element of chance enters into the game. We can model such games using game trees. The vertices of these trees represent the positions that a game can be in as it progresses. The edges represent the legal moves between these positions. Finally, before we conclude this session, we will see some more definitions. Definition 7. A labeled tree is a tree where each vertex is assigned a label. Two labeled trees are isomorphic when there is an isomorphism between them that preserves the labels of vertices. The eccentricity of a vertex in an unrooted tree is the length of the longest simple path beginning at this vertex. A vertex is called a center if no vertex in the tree has smaller eccentricity than this vertex. Now let us summarize the contents of this session. First, trees were introduced providing various examples. Also, various properties were explained with proof, and some of the main applications of trees were discussed. The following questions are provided for testing yourself. First one, show that a simple graph is a tree. Second one, How many non-isomorphic unrooted trees are there with 3 vertices? How many non-isomorphic rooted trees are there with 3 vertices? Third one, a full emery tree T has 81 leaves and height 4. Give the upper and lower bounds for M. What is M if T is also balanced? Fourth one, answer the questions about the rooted tree given in the graph. Which vertices are internal? Which vertices are leaves? Which vertices are children of F? Which vertices are siblings of I? And which vertices are ancestors of C? Fifth one, how many leaves does a full emery tree with 100 internal vertices have? Here are some suggested books for further reading. The first book is Discrete Mathematical Structures, 3rd edition by Coleman, Busby and Rose, published by Prentice Hall, New Jersey. Second one is Discrete Mathematics and its Applications, 6th edition by Kenneth H. Rosen, published by McGraw-Hill International Edition. Third one, Elements of Discrete Mathematics, 2nd edition by C. L. Liu, published by McGraw-Hill. Fourth one is Discrete Mathematics, 6th edition by Richard Johnson Baugh, Pearson Prentice Hall. And the fifth one is Introductory Discrete Mathematics by V. K. Balakrishnan. Hope you have followed this session. We will continue our discussion with spanning trees in the next chapter. Till then, goodbye.